Solomon Drayton stepped out of his old pickup truck, the engine ticking in the June sun. He'd driven 2 days, crossing state lines and endless highways for this moment. Today, his son Tyron was graduating high school. Solomon gazed at the brick building, pride swelling in his chest. This wasn't just a ceremony, it was a milestone, a promise kept. He smoothed his shirt hands calloused from years of work. He thought of his late wife, Maria, and the joy she would have felt. Her memory was his quiet strength. Solomon walked toward the entrance. Moving with purpose, his time in the Marines had taught him discipline. But today, he was simply a father. He remembered the sacrifices, long deployments, missed birthdays, lonely nights, all for tyranny. He wanted his son to have opportunity, to understand the value of hard work and family. As he reached the doors, he took a deep breath, the air buzzing with excitement. Families arrived, dressed in their best, sharing laughter and anticipation. Solomon felt connected to them all, each year to celebrate a child. He was one father among many, but his journey felt deeply personal. Today was the culmination of years of love and he was hope. Ready to see his son walk across that stage. The moment was more than a graduation. It was a testament to everything Solomon had given. He stood tall, carrying Maria's memory and his own quiet pride. This was the day he'd waited for, and he was exactly where he needed to be. The gymnasium buzzed with noise and color, packed to the rafters. Balloons and banners in blue and gold filled the space. Anticipation thickened the air. Families fanned themselves, claiming precious seats. Solomon scanned the crowd, finding a single empty chair on the aisle. With a clear view of the stage, he made his way through, quietly apologizing, and sat down. The chairs for graduates were set. Soon, Tyron would be among them. Solomon felt a steady pride, watching families greet each other and teachers prepare. The school band played slightly off-key, but perfect for the day. Solomon closed his eyes, imagining Maria beside him, sharing stories and laughter. Her spirit was here woven into the day. The room filled to capacity, people standing along the walls. Amidst the chaos, Solomon found peace. He was exactly where he belonged. He didn't need the front row or attention. His presence was his message. He was here to witness his son's achievement. For Solomon, being present was enough. The pride in the room was shared, a silent bond among families. He sat quietly, a proud father waiting for his son's big moment. The energy was electric. The anticipation universal. Solomon's heart was full. This was a day for memories, and he was ready to make them. Just as the graduates' procession was about to begin, 2 security guards approached Solomon's aisle. "Sir, you'll have to move," the younger one said, voice cutting through the music. Solomon looked up, calm and confused. He wasn't blocking anyone. "This seat is reserved," the older guard insisted. There was no sign, nothing to indicate it. Solomon had been there for 30 minutes undisturbed. The crowd's happy buzz faded to a tense hush. Solomon recognized this kind of attention, being singled out for reasons beyond his control. He kept his voice low. "I'm just here to see my son graduate." There was no sign. The younger guard's patience thinned. "We have instructions. Please move to the back." Frustration flickered, but Solomon pushed it down. He wouldn't cause a scene. He remained seated, posture straight, dignity intact. "With all due respect, I'm not moving. I'm here for my son." The guards exchanged uncertain glances, unprepared for his calm refusal. The air thickened with unspoken words and curious stares. Solomon's quiet resolve was unexpected. He was a Marine. He knew how to stand his ground without raising his voice. The moment teetered on the edge of conflict. Solomon's dignity was his shield. He would not let anyone ruin this day for Tyron. He sat unmovable, waiting for the next move. The gymnasium held its breath. Solomon held his ground, calm and steady. His Marine training had taught him to control his emotions, to act with intention. Anger was a fire, dignity a shield. He looked the guards in the eye, not with defiance but certainty. He was a father with a right to be there. The crowd watched, whispers spreading. Solomon focused on composure, refusing to escalate. He would not let his son's celebration become a spectacle. The younger guard's frustration grew. "Sir, I'm not going to ask again." Solomon let the silence linger. "And I will not tell you again. I am staying." His words were fact, not challenge. He turned his attention to the stage, signaling the conversation was over. His priority was Tyrant. This simple act of turning away was more powerful than any argument. Solomon's quiet courage was a lesson in strength. The gymnasium watched, learning what true resolve looked like. A subtle shift occurred in the bleachers behind Solomon. One man stood, then another, 6 in total, moving with disciplined grace. They weren't in uniform, but their presence was unmistakable. These were Solomon's brothers in arms, Navy SEALs bound by loyalty. They'd come to surprise him, but now they stood in silent support, their eyes fixed on the guards, arms crossed, a wall of solidarity. The guards faltered, unused to this kind of quiet power. The SEAL's message was clear: you are not dealing with one man. The crowd felt the shift. This was about respect. The SEALs didn't look at Solomon. They didn't need to. Their action was a silent declaration of brotherhood. No man should have to stand alone. Their bond was forged in hardship, unbreakable. In the noisy gym, their silence spoke volumes. Loyalty, honor, and brotherhood stood tall. The guards hesitated, the crowd watched. Solomon was not alone, the moment belonged to them all. The 6 men's silent stand sent a ripple through the crowd. Whispering stopped, all eyes turned to the unfolding drama. The guards looked small, uncertain. The community recognized this wasn't about a seat. It was about respect. A quiet murmur of support spread. The mood shifted. Family sided with Solomon. The guards felt the weight of hundreds of eyes. Their authority slipped away, replaced by decency. The younger guard lowered his radio, defeated by collective pressure. Without a word, the guards retreated into the crowd. The SEALs remained standing a moment longer, then sat. No applause, just quiet relief. The gym returned to its buzz, but something had changed. There was a new respect in the air. Solomon gave a grateful nod to his friends. The bond they shared needed no words. The lesson in dignity and solidarity was clear. The community had witnessed true strength. From the graduate seats, Tyrone saw everything. His excitement turned to worry as the guards approached his father. He knew his dad quiet. Never seeking trouble, Tyrone watched, heart pounding as his father stood his ground. Then the 6 men rose, his father's brothers in arms. Their silent support changed everything. The guards backed down, the tension dissolved. Tyrone understood his father's strength was in the respect he inspired. It wasn't about being loud or tough, but about quiet confidence and dignity. The loyalty of those men was earned, not demanded as the principal spoke. Tyrone's mind replayed what he'd seen. He felt a new sense of responsibility. He was Solomon Drayton's son. He wanted to live with the same honor. The ceremony became more than a diploma. It was a lesson in legacy. Tyrone would carry it forever. The announcer called Tyrone Drayton. Cheers erupted from the bleachers as Tyrone walked to the stage, pride replacing his nerves. He looked out, finding his father's beaming smile behind Solomon. The 6 SEALs stood applauding. Tyrone crossed the stage, never taking his eyes off his father. The diploma felt secondary. The real prize was his father's pride. The SEALs stood for him too. His extended family. Tyrone walked off the stage, heart full. He'd honored his father and his mother's memory. The rest of the ceremony blurred by, but that image, his father and the SEALs, remained. When it ended, Tyrone went straight for the bleachers. He needed to thank his father. This was more than a graduation. It was a lesson in manhood, loyalty, and love. Tyrone would never forget it. Tyrone reached his father and hugged him tightly. "I saw what happened, Dad. Thank you for being here." Solomon held his son close. Years of sacrifice culminating in this moment. "I wouldn't have missed it for the world." "I'm proud of you, Tyrone." The SEALs stood nearby, giving them space as they walked to the parking lot. Tyrone asked, "Why didn't you get angry at those guards?" Solomon stopped. Anger's a tool, but not always the right one. Sometimes the strongest thing is to stay calm. When you keep your dignity, you win. Your character is your own. You decide who you are. Tyrone thought about his father's calm, his quiet power, and your friends. They didn't say a word, but everyone listened. Solomon smiled. That's loyalty brotherhood. Doesn't always need a voice. It just needs to show up. They reached the truck, the sun setting. Tyrone looked at his diploma, then at his father. This day would be etched in his memory forever. It wasn't just graduation. It was understanding dignity, loyalty, and quiet strength. Solomon had given him more than a ride. He'd given him a roadmap for life. The greatest lessons aren't taught if they're lived, and his father was the best teacher he'd ever know.